Okay, I did one pass with Testors gray enamel primer. It's the only time I've ever used it, so I did one pass off camera just to see how it goes. And the answer is, it is a very heavy spray. We have a dropship base and 4 tanks, a helicopter, and a tank gun. So I'm just going to show you guys here a couple quick little sprays. It's easy to get too much. So just go gentle. With these, I would recommend keeping a brush nearby so you can brush them out if you get too much. And in this case I did, so I'm gonna brush some of this out to keep the detail in, because it doesn't take much primer. Yeah, there was just too much there. It doesn't take much primer. You don't even need a thorough coat, to be honest. It's just a spray can, and I'm not used to quick bursts with the spray can. But this guy, we'll get over here and we'll spread some of that around a little bit. So it's workable, it's doable. It's not the worst primer in the world. And it's functional, and it was inexpensive. Everything you're gonna see me doing, I've got with, I think, 30 bucks through Amazon. So next we'll work on painting some of these. Thanks. Welcome to the next installment of the Inner Sphere Paint Bay with PretzelBear. We are going to try turning on a little bit of mood music behind the video. We'll see how this goes. But we're going to try this. Today's episode is going to focus around budget paints. We all have budgets. Some budgets are bigger than others. Testors paints, the 10 bottles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bottles, and 1 primer that you see in front of you, I got for about $25. It's about $3 a bottle. That's a little cheaper than I can get Reaper Minis to send me paints for. Reaper Minis, when I check their site, let me just do this live. When I order paints from Reaper Minis, it's either $3 or $4 a bottle. I think it's $4 a bottle. $3.69 a bottle. So the Testors is less expensive, but barely, because $25.99 I believe was what I bought the 8 paints and the 1 small bottle of thinner for. It comes out to about $3 a bottle plus the thinner, about $2.80 a bottle. And you do pay shipping with Reaper unless you order $50 or more. Once you hit the $50 level, it's free to ship. So I find their paints to be better quality than Testors. However, this was a request. We're going to dive in and do it. So my advice is you can get better quality control by going with Reaper. However, if Testors is all you can get and all you can order or get delivered, let's do it. Do it. What we have here are some sample pieces from a box of bits. I ordered a box of Battlefield debris, basically. These are 3D print rejects from Fortress Minis, I believe. Battlefield debris is what the box is called. So I want to put a few of these colors on wholesale without thinning them, and then again with thinning them to show the benefit of thinning, because this paint is super thick, super thick. This is the old model paint from the 80s that we could get at Walmart and Kmart with the models. They had it on sale in the model aisles. It works. Not the best paint in the world, but functional, okay? And that's what we're here to show, is functional. And the key is the thinner. If you buy a box of paints this big, you're going to want to buy extra thinner with it. You're just going to. Because this bottle of thinner being the same size as all the paint bottles, I don't know that it would stretch far enough to really provide a good level of thinness across the board. But it is, I mean, it's acrylic paint. You know, it's just like all of our other model paints, it's acrylic paint. And you can see here, I'm just pouring a little bit of 6 colors in. I accidentally got some red on the yellow because I'm clumsy. It's okay. Again, no mistakes, just happy little accidents. Something wanted to be that way. Okay, so I'm going to take this little guy here and I'm going to give him a little bit of silver. That's better than I expected. I'm actually keeping a little bit of the detail. Okay, so I am surprised right out of the gate with something looking better than expected. Okay, I didn't lose detail. This is again full strength, not thinned. A little bit of silver, let's do a little bit of gold. And these aren't battlefield debris that I'm intending to use for anything. These I sacrificed for this test, the Testors test. But if we look at this, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see that it's, at least the metallic colors, there's a little bit of pooling there. A little bit of pooling. Okay. A little bit of red on the underbody. I have a dog saying hi to me because he is a sweet puppy. Again, I'm just spreading some color to see what it goes on like. I'm actually more impressed than I thought I would be with this because the detail is quite vibrant, quite visible. It could just be that I'm taking small enough dips, but now see, there was some pooling with the gold, so pooling happens. Pooling being when paint just thins out and builds up. Now my brush is dirty. Contaminating paint. Because again, this is a sample, I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. Let me go back and touch up this gold a little bit. I just want the gold to look gold. It might have been contaminated with a little bit of the silver, which might have been what I was seeing. Thin gold. Thin gold. When we use the thinner, this will change a lot, but little bending on the bottom, but that's okay. Now that's 3 colors. I want to see this yellow, because this yellow looks like it'll coat well. Sorry. I realized what I was doing after I started doing it, and that was not good. Okay, so it's a thin yellow. Yellow is the notoriously difficult paint to work with. Yellow does not like to coat. And you might be able to see here we're getting a little bit of the gray bleed through. So if I were to do this, it would be multiple coats of yellow. And it's pooling a little bit still. It's building up a little bit in some spots. But it's comparable to what I've gotten with higher end paints. Comparable, not great, comparable. So let's get a little bit of green in there. Back again. Build up on the brush. It's not quite thin enough to really be able to use well, but it sort of works. In order to thin it out, I have to spread it further. I got way more in the brush than I wanted. You can see the green thinned out a little bit. It might take a second coat to, well, the green is starting to lose some of the detail. Okay. So the big detail you can see is fine details. That's where the pooling is covering up, because we just lost every ridge on the back. Let me see if I can clean that up. Default. See if I can just clean that up. And again, you want to wait and let your stuff dry. See, I can sort of clean up the pooling with a dry brush. Wick some of the extra paint away. That's okay. So it worked better than I expected. It's sticky paint. I'm getting my fingers on some of the mostly dried paint. I don't mind it coming off on my fingers, but it's sticky. It's a stickiness I don't get with Reaper. It's almost like a gloss paint, and it feels like gloss sticky. This is the best way I can describe it. Now, I just got the basic pack, which comes with 8 colors. I do not know of a way to get custom colors. I do know they have a military pack, which comes with military grade colors, things you would see on military vehicles in the modern world, intended for modeling. These are intended to be modeling paints, not mini paints. Okay? Mini paints have a slightly different texture. But I wanted to go simple, and I got these on Prime, so they worked for this test. The people I know who use these get the military grade paints and the regular color paints and try to mix and match to get the color schemes they need. Because let's face it, Battletech, color schemes are everything. You can get a lot of color schemes. Now, I'm pleased with how it's going on. I can get it thin. And maybe that's just the fact that I've been painting so much that I'm learning to do a thin coat. But I have seen some pooling, but I can see the detail. I can see all of the missile nubs. I can see all of the exhaust ports on the back of the missile pods. So my hesitation now is not around coverage factor, it's about the feel of the model, because these are, the paint is just wants to stick to my fingers, and once it's on my fingers want to stick to everything. So that becomes my reservation. But actually I just showed that it can be used full strength functionally. Now, this is the key to the way you should be doing Testors paint. Every bottle of paints comes with a bottle of thinner. I do not believe that this thinner is enough for all 8 of these paints. Okay. So, and this is the hidden cost with Testors, is I bought Testors primer, I bought Testors top coat. Let me show you these. I did the Testors primer already on video in the first start of this. Enamel primer. This is a spray lacquer. Okay. These are Testors products. So basically I spent $25 on paints, and these were like $6 a bottle, I think. And it was all prime, so delivery was free. So I didn't pay any delivery charges. Now, if I bought this something similar at Reaper, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bottles of paint, plus 1 bottle of primer and 1 bottle of matte top coat, through Reaper, it'd be $3.69 a bottle. 8, I don't want to do the math, so my computer is going to do the math for me. 8 times 369 plus 369 plus 369. 36.90. So I spent about $35 on everything, including the top coat and the primer. I did not buy an extra bottle of thinner. An extra bottle of thinner would have been about $8 for a big bottle of it. That still would put us at about $44. You would need to buy 2 more bottles of paint to hit the 50 mark to get the free shipping that Reaper does. The other thing about Reaper is every time you spend more than $50, they start throwing in free minis. They have a mini of the month, and then they have different selections based on how much you spend. I get those minis and let my wife paint those because they're all fantasy minis. Sometimes I'll paint them. Eventually I might even start painting some of them on this channel. We'll see. They can be nice minis. We've got a lot of them. I've bought a lot of paint from them. But budgetary, it's about even, because you want to buy a big bottle of thinner. Now, I'm going to mix in thinner in all 8 of our colors on the palette here. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of thinner. Way too much. This is my inability to pour well. Yeah, I basically just used a whole bottle of thinner. That's my bad, because I'm not used to doing this. Okay, now I'm going to mix the colors with the thinners. Okay, now that is a thin paint. I'm worried about the blue. I might have to add some more blue to the blue. Mix the gold with the thinner. It's a little too thin. Gold came out pretty well.
Hey, Pretzel here. Shout out to all you wonderful creators for coming to Upbeat for your music. Keep doing what you do and help support us artists by upgrading to Upbeat Premium now.
My thinner's all out here, okay? I have a lot of paint left in each bottle. Well, I'm not happy with that. It is... So I might have gotten way too much thinner in the gold. But you're trying. Yes, I washed my palette. I actually just washed it. I didn't wash it as good as I normally do. I didn't, put the soap and water to it and all that fun stuff. And I got a little bit of red in the yellow, and the yellow is a little thinner than I want. I'm going to add a little more of this yellow paint. And it's not wasteful if it's educational, because we're learning. We're all learning together here, okay? So it's not wasteful. I only bought these for this test, but I might actually use them as big primary colors on some of those fantasy minis, because I'm almost impressed. Okay. Decent level of green. We'll add a little more blue. It's a little thin. We want the paint to go where we want it. We don't want it to go everywhere. And some of these want to spread out everywhere. Okay, but this is our trial. This is trial and error. This is experimentation. And you know what? I'm okay with a little bit of trial and error. I'm okay with a little bit of experimentation. I didn't do the black and white. It's fine. This is giving us 6 colors. This is giving us a good sample size. Okay? Now we're going to do metallics here. Quite see to see if the color's right. The color is not right. Meant to do fresh water in my cup. I did not. So I'm paying a little bit of a price for that. Now that the green, the gold is just way too thin. Okay. So, thinning down the gold, not really an option. Get rid of some of this to make it a little more rhythm. So the gold was actually thin enough on the first pass. The thinner in the gold, I didn't add a lot of it, has made it so thin that I'm not getting any coverage at all. My units are primed. It's not a lack of adherence to the primer. It is literally the thinness of the paint. So the gold didn't really need thinner. Even with even with thickening it up, I cannot get a coat with that. So there you go. Don't thin the gold paint. So I can't really compare and contrast gold paint, other than saying, don't try that. That was kind of a waste. Silver. The silver coats. And I'm just going right over top of where we have the gold because it works. Now it's thin. It is thin. Thinner paint should dry faster. Okay, both of the metallics, I kind of prefer the unthinned version. But we'll see what this is like. Okay, we have 4 colors to put on this body. Let's see what we can do. A little red on this side. With the thinner, it flows well. It's leaving all of the detail. seeing just a little bit of the shading from the primer, which I like. It's a good coat. Okay, so the thinned out red. Nice. Very nice. The original red kept some of the detail, kept all the detail. You can even see the 3D print bumps on the bottom. I generally don't remove the bumps. I think they give just a little bit of character. Remember, it's about good, not perfect. So I kind of am sticking to that. Blue. Oh, and I see why this was an imperfect. That track is not level. So this is why it went into their bits pile. And again, with a couple layers, that would be a really deep blue. The way it is, it's a thinned out blue. It's a rec blue, and I like that for what we're testing. It's a good rec color, a good rec blue. So, if all you can get where you're at is Testors paints, they work. Okay, this is proof. I know people turn their nose up at it. I did as well until I started testing. But this is pretty decent. These thinned out colors, they take a little effort, take a few layers, but we do a few layers with all the other colors anyways. Other side, we're going to get some of that yellow. And again, we know yellow is a thinner hue and wants layers. We also just pick up some of the other colors. I'm not worried about that right now. That's a layer of each color. So for right now, I'm going to let things sit and dry. And when I come back, things will have dried. And then we will see where we stand. Stay tuned. Enjoy the intermission if one gets added. If not, go ahead and like and subscribe. The Worldwide Goji Kaichu channel is trying to bring the most creative and entertainment that we can on budgets. I know the owner of the channel really appreciates any support we give him. He's got a Ko-Fi, and we're trying to add special rewards for anybody who signs up. It's worth joining. I don't make money off of this. Okay, I'm not shilling for me to make money, but donating to the channel supports the channel, and it supports all the creators on the channel. There's only 2 of us right now, but Worldwide Goji Kaichu will, if people show an interest and want to assist in creating content and are willing to help keep the channel afloat, entertain your ideas and help you create. So we're going to let things dry for a little bit. We will come back and we will look at what we got. Thank you. And we're back. I took a little interlude to let these dry and worked on some other stuff. And now we're circling back. So my true belief is thinned out silver is okay. This looks pretty daggone good. Thinned out gold was way too washed out. Gold starts out thin enough. Silver you can thin out a little bit for testers. Blue gave us a really dark coat in one shot, unthinned, and you can still see all of the itty bitty details in there. You can still see everything. So blue, you can either not thin out, or thin out, depending on if you want a deep, rich, fresh painted look, or a little bit of a washed out look, or if you want to do multiple layers. You can see just a little bit of the gray there. It's really glossy. It's really glossy. Hitting this with a dull coat or a matte or an ultra matte finish would make it look a lot better. The unthinned gold, the unthinned silver did good. The unthinned yellow actually did decent. There was a little pooling, but it was a good yellow coat. The unthinned green did really good once we spread out this back a little bit. It almost pooled and washed out the back area. The red is a nice coat. Again, you can see the detail, and it's thick. Same colors over here. The green, it's washed out a little bit, which is a good worn look. The red, washed out less, but just a little bit. Again, a nice worn painted look. The yellow, thinned out yellow is super thin. I'm going to put the yellow and the gold in the same category, and that's use them full strength. Make sure you spread them out well. Okay, so clean off your brush as much as you can. I got a new pot of water so I can clean off my fingers. Thin out, spread out the paint as well as you can to make sure you're seeing those details. If it means cleaning off your brush and coming back and soaking up a little bit more of it, do it. It's worth it. So testers can work. For me, I might use it on, like I said, I might use it on some of my fantasy minis as a base color in some areas. I don't think it'll be a primary color, or I might use it. I recently bought a lot of 6th edition Car Wars, which uses plastic Car Wars minis. I'm actually going to be 3D printing some of them because I bought the STL pack from Steve Jackson Games. So I'll be printing some more. I want to have, it's up to 4 players can play, and theoretically 4 players could play the same car at the same time. So I'm going to print 3 of each car off. There's 4 cars that only came in the STL pack, additional cars. I'll print 4 each of those, and there's a 5th car which is accessorizable. You can add weapons, you can add accessories, offensive, defensive mods, ram plates, turrets, things like that. I'll print 4 of those, maybe 8 of those, and then I may play around with the accessories. I also bought the pack of Uncle Al's add-ons, accessories, walls for arenas, cones, barrels, things like that. I'm going to print out a lot of those. So when I'm done with all the Battletech work, I've got 16 more mechs in boxes. I've got 16 aerospace fighters for the regulars. The 16 mechs are for the guerrillas. Those are probably what I'm going to do next to show the original paint scheme I did and how I did it. I've got 70 mechs all told for the Storm Wardens. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 drop ships for the Storm Wardens as well. I won't have aerospace for them until the Mercenary Kickstarter lands. So 86 mechs and 16 aerospace fighters. I will do videos on some of them, and some of them I will just do painting through to get them done. As you can tell, I'm working on the regulars drop ships, just finishing those up. It's the same paint scheme, and it's more of the same, just listening to the models and figuring out what they want to be. So I'm not necessarily going to put all of these onto video, but I will take you from not being primed through, priming, base coating, which for the gorillas means blue, purple, and red, 3 different base coats, adding the camouflage on, painting the yellow for the cockpits, which is a 4-layer yellow. So we'll be walking through 16 color adds plus a metallic, so 17 color adds on those. I'll do at least 4, if not 6 of them on video. 4 seems to take about an hour. So that seems to be sorry, I can't talk without my hands. I'm not doing anything, so I talk with my hands too. So I'll walk through that and show all of that. But you can see jade green on dropships that didn't have it before, and this little special neck over here that I'm not really putting into focus. There's reasons for that. He's going to be used in a fight next weekend. And I'm not revealing what it is at this point. And I don't even think you could zoom in on it and tell, because it's nice and it's a little out of focus, which is intentional. Okay. The Testors top coat works well. But again, for my money, it's a little too shiny on the paint, a little tacky until it dries. Once it dries, it's not tacky, but it feels like an armored shell instead of a paint job. So it does go on a little thick. Even the thin stuff feels like an armored shell. But it works. You just got to be careful and move slowly. Thin out the darker colors, or if you're not going to thin them out, make sure you're focused on really, really light coats on your brush. So get your brush in the paint, clean it off. You don't take it all the way down to a dry brush level, but clean it off a little bit. And then if you get too much paint on the model, go back and clean your brush off and come back and suck some of that up. Testors primer did a good job. This guy's still just primed. It's not too shiny. It's a good gray primer. There are cheaper primers out there, but this was a Testors test. Okay, just keeping it real there. So the Testors primer will get used. I think the base prime I'm going to do for the Storm Wardens will be a gray prime anyways. So the Storm Wardens dropships, well, I've already primed them black. I may still give them a spray coat of Testors primer to be thorough and consistent. Just a thin layer, just so I can use the can. I want to get my money's worth out of it. Again, this ultra matte varnish, I got it off of Amazon. It was inexpensive, and for the ounce, it was good. What I got at my local train store was ultra matte Lucky Varnish, Ammo MIG, Jimenez, AMIG 2050. These are both 60 milliliter bottles. Prices were in line with each other. So an AMIG 2050 and an AK 183 are the product numbers. This is my top coat of choice unless I'm doing buildings. Buildings sometimes get a glossier coat, and when I do the Storm Wardens, I'm going to pull out some Turbo Dork paint. I don't know if we can show it properly here, but my new paint tower is painted all with Turbo Dork color shift. This is called Radium. You know what? I can actually show this off because I don't mind putting a little bit of this on. The Turbo Dork color shift paints doesn't take a lot. It takes more than that. it's a, you got to get some of the color. I need to shake the bottle more. It sat for a couple days since I finished the paint tower. Depending on how the light hits it, it shifts between green and yellow for this radium. It is a spectrum of paint. Let me put some in here. There we go. So the Turbo Dork Radium should come out kind of pinkish red, kind of a clear pink color. If it comes out clear, you didn't get enough of the medium in it. And so shake it up and pour a little more out. There we go. That's a good color. But then, when you start brushing it around, this is where the magic happens. It's got a little bit of glitter in it. And, come on, get on here. It will spread out. It works best on black. This is a dark color, but it's not quite black. So I'm not sure if I can quite pull off what I want to do here. I just want to try to show it goes on super smooth. And you spread it out quite well. And then when it dries, yeah, this might not be dark enough. When it dries, you get this color. And this color really does shift from green to red, or green to yellow, sorry. So you can sort of see it here. You can see the color striations. And you can see them on the drawer, where it's this shifted color. I have another version of this called Laserface that is a, I don't know how to describe it. It's a color shift, but it's not a blue color shift. It's like a red to yellow, maybe, I think. Let me look up the shift on that, because I want to kind of describe what I'm doing. Laserface Turbo Dork. Yeah, kind of a red to yellow shift. So I'm eager to see what that looks like on, the darker colors here. When they get the mechs going, the cockpits will be blacked over. So on these drop ships, I might pick a few areas and black them over as well. Maybe the nose cone will get blacked over and turbo dorked with Laserface. And then, of course, it'll have the grays on it. And this started with speed paint. So you can see the variations the speed paint left behind. So you'll get to see more of this when I get into it. And these, I left the legs metallic blue. So you don't see any color shifting on those. You don't see any of the striations. But everything that's a body panel, you do. So I've got to translate this to mechs and do more drop ships similar to this. But that's kind of what we're going for. There also will probably be a straight silvery color for metallics, not the burnt metal or scorched metal that I've been doing with these guys, but a silvery color to go with the blue-gray combination for the storm clouds. Just a little bit of what's going around in my head. Okay, so we did the Testors test. It performed better than I would have expected. I will use more of it. I will get my money out of it, but I won't buy any more, because for me, the same money buys me my Reaper Minis. At some point, I will get some Army Painter paints. At some point, I will get some Citadel paints. At some point, I will get Oh, there's 2 other brands of paints that I can think of offhand, but the names are slipping my mind. I will test them out and we'll show how they work. Remember, I paint a little heavy-handed. I know that, but the results speak for themselves. You can see all of the detail on this gun turret. You can see all the detail, all the recesses are there, even the little lines. The thinned out silver did beautifully. The thinned out blue washed out a little bit. Sorry, they're glossy, so it's hard to get real good views of them. The green washed out a little, the red washed out a little. The yellow, I added a second thin coat. I've got some paint blending going on in there because I went too fast. Let your layers dry. Don't repeat the mistakes I make or the happy little accidents I make because I'm moving quickly for the sake of the video. Goldish color, silver color, red, full strength red. You still see all of the details. All the details are there. All the tires are detailed there with full strength gold, full strength silver, full strength green. You can see all the little details because I spread it out quite a ways. Yellow. Yellow would use a second coat, even full strength, but a thin coat, or maybe in layers on top just to cover some of the yellows, unless you want the color striation. I think these would look even better on a black primer because it wouldn't be gray coming out underneath. But if you like that gray for your metal, then you've got a little bit of metal sticking through. Reasonable. Testors will probably go on to Car Wars cars along with Reaper paints. And we've got 86 more mechs in 2 different color schemes and 16 VTOLs in this color scheme to go. And I'm working on 1 mech and 8 drop ships. And I will put up progress pictures on my Twitter and my Facebook just to show people what's going on. This has been the Inner Sphere Paint Bay with PretzelBear on the worldwide Goji Kaiju YouTube channel. We look forward to providing more content. We look forward to talking to you down the road. Hit a like, hit a subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me you hate what I'm doing. Tell me you love what I'm doing. If you pick up any tips off of this, please leave comments and let me know. Because I'm doing this for everyone's benefit, especially novice painters. So just leave a comment and let me know what you think. And we'll see you in the space lanes. Thanks, everybody. Take care.